Hey HTDA and welcome back to Dyson Sphere Program. Today we are going to take the actual fight to the Dark Fog. Last time around we cleared them from our planet, as you can see. All nice and tidy, no more enemies on our planet, no more waves coming in. There's actually no threat building up for the hives either, so currently we can pretty much do what we want. Part of that is actually getting all those resources that we got from actually clearing out all those waves and just collecting them. There's quite a few useful things in here. However, at this point, although we have all the time in the world to do whatever we want on our planet, there might be a new base landing at some point, but all then we need to do is just take our missile turrets over here and take it out really quickly. I did expand my facility a little bit to start actually automating some of the basic production, as you can see over here. So we're making a little bit of everything. Well, not everything, but most of the useful things we are now making. There's a couple of things over here. There's some other things like engines and combustible units. What are these called? I keep forgetting. Combustible something, right? Right? Combustible units. Yeah, I had it right, actually. So we have a lot of the stuff in production. The thing is, in order to get any further than that, we're now pretty much stuck on blue and red science. So we're going to need yellow science. In order to make that, we're going to need titanium, which we don't really have. There's bound to be some titanium in these leftovers that we got from actually fighting the Dark Fog. As you can see, we have some titanium in the box over here. We actually have some titanium crystals as well. But this is nowhere near enough to actually do some serious yellow science research. So, for those of you that are wondering, why didn't you just leave the Dark Fog on your planet and farm them and get your titanium that way? Well, for those of you that watch my single planet challenge, you would see that even with 3 bases non-stop attacking us, we did get some of the titanium crystals and titanium ingots, but nowhere near enough to do any sort of, well, proper science research or anything like that. So, in other words, we're going to need to expand to a second planet to get the titanium. So, that's the goal of today. We are going to clear out the planet and get our titanium set up and good to go. Longest intro ever, but let's check out what our other planets are and where we should be going. So we have Dominic over here. That is a renamed planet after one of the members that is supporting the channel, so thank you for that. As you can see, there's only 2 or 3 bases on here, so that's pretty nice. We have some silicon over here. Just one problem, there's no actual titanium on this planet. We also need silicon, but honestly, silicon is not that much needed. We will need more of that at some point, but let's check out the other planet, because that means that this planet should have titanium, and it does. I'm just a little bit worried, because we're going to check this out once we check the view, but there's a ton of ships flying to this planet. Look at this. Oh my god, are you kidding me? How many bases are there on this planet? It's a little bit hard to count them, but I think it's at least 12? Something like that on this planet. That's a lot of planetary bases that we're going to have to clear out. And remember, as soon as we start building anything on this planet in the wrong power, they're all going to be attacking us. So we just went from having to defend ourselves against 3 bases to defending us against something like 12 bases at the same time. Okay, well, this is going to be fun. Okay, so let's do some prep work. We are no longer going to need these basic turrets. I have plenty of them, so I made a few too many. But yeah, these are not going to be all that useful when we're going to discover a new planet. We are going to need a lot of rocket turrets, but we already have those in production. I'm guessing that implosion cannons are probably going to be the most efficient. The thing with these is these are AoE type of units. They actually do explosive damage, so they take out whole battalions at the same time, and they actually push the enemy back. So all we are going to use these for is actually to protect our missile turrets, basically give them some backup power and keep them safe. We also have the laser turrets. The problem with these things is they take a lot of power, and since we're going to be building on a brand new planet, we're probably not going to have a huge amount of power. These take 3 megawatts in operation, and that basically means we can power 4 of the implosion cannons while we can only power 1 laser turret. So yeah, laser turrets I think are definitely the way to go, along with some missile turrets. I'm also going to be crafting some thermal power plants. I think that's a pretty nice way to get the early power going to support our turrets. What else are we going to need? Well, some more signal towers and battlefield analysis bases in order to repair these things and actually get the turrets, the rockets, to destroy our enemy. Probably a lot of belts and stuff like that as well, so just some basics, so let's get going. Oh, and actually, just as a random side note, I already knew, of course, you could stack boxes. And I'm probably the last person in the world to find this out, so you can laugh at me. But I've been using these splitters to get this storage here going, but as you can see, once my box got full, I put another splitter behind that and basically had that fill up the second box. Now what I just found out is you can stack boxes on top of splitters as well. So not just the first box on top of that, I knew that, but you can actually stack more boxes on top of that as well. So I could have done this instead of making a secondary line. Anyway, just in case you also missed this, you can do this. Okay, so let's hop into a sandbox mode, just for convenience sake, to make some blueprints that we're going to need to actually attack our planet. So what I want to do is have a battlefield analysis base to both act as a little bit of defense, because these things actually can take a lot of damage. Well, not that much, but a reasonable amount of damage. But they're mostly there to make sure everything stays alive, specifically our implosion turrets. Now, I'm thinking to make a pattern something like this, because if we repeat this pattern, then the next thing will be a battlefield analysis base, and then basically we have one base, and then two more of these, something like this, and then each base can repair the 2 units next to it, basically optimize defense in terms of actual keeping things alive. Now, I'm just going to make a section so we can just copy paste that. Let's see, we want some rocket launchers. Something like this. Probably let's take that in just one a little bit like so. These are going to be the secondary line, and then in the back we're going to need to get some power going, and we're going to do that with thermal power stations, something like this. We can actually spread them out a little bit, I think. Just to avoid any clipping in the actual blueprints. It's also always really annoying when that happens. And then let's see, what can we do? We have a belt. Can we fit a belt in here? We should be able to, right? Yeah, there we go. Something like this. And then we can feed that into here. Now you might be wondering, what am I doing here? Well, we're going to pick up a lot of materials. And some of those materials are going to be things that we can actually burn. So if we do something like this, we make a sorter. We set a filter to anything that's burnable, so let's say graphite, for example. Then any graphite this battlefield analysis picks up will be put on this belt and it goes into the burner. Is that going to be able to fuel an entire setup? No, it's not, but it is definitely going to help out to make sure I don't have to fly back and forth all the time to refuel. What else do we need? Actually, not that much. We just need some power, just to make sure everything is actually up and running. This actually connects to the fuel as well, so this just helps us connect to the rest of the stuff. And then what we can actually do is take this, copy paste that. Well, actually before I do that, so let's make sure we use other types of fuel as well. We have three things we can hook up over here. Like so. What other fuel do we have? We have combustible units. That's probably a good thing to start burning here as well. And then what else do we have? Oh, right. Just this stuff. The energy shards. There's actually a lot of those things dropping. There's also going to be other things like hydrogen as well, but that's not super efficient, although it does take up a lot of space. So it's definitely something we could consider. If you really want to optimize this, by the way, you can always make the secondary belt go like something like this and then hook that up to this one, assuming that the camera helps. And then you can just copy that in, but honestly, I think that's overkill. Okay, so let's see. Let's make a blueprint like this. Control-C, Control-V. And then we can just place this next to it, something like this. Something like this, and we can flip it around and do it on the other side as well. Actually, I want to leave some room in between. And yeah, something like this. Now, I'm actually going to have to delete this, I think, to line it up a little bit better, but this is the basic idea. What I also want to do is basically copy this down to the sides as well. Not entirely sure how far we need to go. We might actually be able to get away with just one. Why is this not... This is colliding. It is colliding because these things are together. Well, this is the basic idea. Let me work on it for a moment to get these things a little bit more separated so we don't have no collisions in the blueprint and show you what I mean. Ta-da! Yeah, so like I said, just the basic same layout. I actually moved the thermal power plants a little bit to the right, so we have some room over here for a splitter with a depot on it, because what we can then do is basically... Okay, let me explain first. This belt is actually going to go around all this way, as you can see. So this is basically a circle with some weird angles in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to dump in the fuel over here, and that's basically going to just distribute it across the entire base over here. Now, we're actually also going to drop our rockets in here, our missiles, and these are going to be exported through a filter, as you can see over here, just the missiles that are being filtered, and these are going to go in a secondary line that's going to go all the way around like this, and this is going to make sure we actually get all our rocket launchers up and running. Now, it does help TDA if you actually make sure that all the belts are connected, because otherwise that circle thing won't work. And then the reason that we have several depots is that that actually allows me to just dump in those things at several places in the build, just making sure everything is saturated a lot quicker. Now, similarly, we also have these implosion cannons over here. I think I actually want one more, maybe something like over here. And then we're pretty much going to be doing the same thing. Always a little bit annoying to click these. Something like this. And I'm not entirely sure why I'm doing it like this, but you get the point. So just a depot over here as well. Then we're going to have a belt. This belt is going to go in here to this one. And then it's going to go around in here. Through here, like here, like here, like here, like here. You get the point, I guess. And then that's going to go down here. Now, I could make this a circle as well, but honestly, we just have a line of implosion cannons on one side. We should probably add in one more if I'm doing this. Just for aesthetics. Something like this. This is a little bit vulnerable though, because it's on the corner, but let's find out if that works, I suppose. I might change my mind. And we do the same thing on the other side. Okay, everything powered up. I actually decided to put in 2 signal towers, one on the left and one on the right. Why did I do that? Well, the reason is that having 2 of these towers hopefully means that there will be some units attacking from this side, some units attacking from that side. And the more the units are spread out, the easier it will be to keep my base alive. That's the thought. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work. It's probably not going to make a huge difference, but hey, we might as well try. Other than that, it's pretty much the same thing as you saw. I fixed all the belts, so hopefully that should be working now. And all we need to do now is actually make sure we have enough of these to place them on the planet, and then start slowly but surely taking back the control of our entire solar system. Okay, so back in the game. I know that as soon as I'm going to be clearing out something like 12 or even more of those planetary bases, the threat here is going to shoot up. There's a potential that we're going to be attacked. It doesn't actually go up that fast, so I'm not sure if we're actually going to see an attack on our planet. But just in case, we are going to build ourselves a couple of these. So these are planetary shield generators. I assume you know how these work by now. But I highly recommend that you start building these. You're going to actively do some combat with the dark fog. Why? Well, basically these keep your planets alive, and we're going to need a fair few of these because we actually have a pretty sizable factory, and ideally we want to make sure everything that is of some importance is covered. Now, we probably don't need to cover out some things like the outlier mines over here. If those get destroyed, not a huge deal, but especially all these power farms. There's some generators over here that are actually giving us a huge portion of our power right now, so we want to make sure those stay alive. In other words, just make sure your planet is protected before you leave it. Oh, speaking of power, we also definitely want to bring a couple of these geothermal power plants, because that is actually going to allow us to clear out the planetary bases as soon as we destroy them, get some power from them hopefully as well, but at least make sure that they don't start rebuilding. So yeah, don't forget to bring some of these to the other planet as well. Now let me check, how is our planetary shield doing? Yeah, that's actually bigger than I thought it would be, but it is covering pretty much everything, maybe just not a few things over here. Yeah, the power plants are covered as well, the solar farm over here as well. We might want to place in another shield over here to make sure our windmills are not being destroyed, but other than that, it looks pretty solid. Alright, so I am completely stocked up on everything that has to do with the offensive approach to these secondary planets. And I should have enough turrets and things like that in here to actually build at least twice, maybe even 3 or 4 times. No, it's definitely only going to be twice if I look at the number of turrets. Please build twice of those like battle stations that we just designed. Now, I actually might want to build a little bit more than that, but let's just bring this to the other planet as well and actually see if we can fit some of that stuff in. And there we go. Actually, approaching one of these planets now is pretty exciting because I'm not entirely sure where we're going to land. Hopefully not in the middle of between any bases. It looks like we are pretty lucky, actually. We can just dive straight in. And this is pretty safe. Yay, milestone achieved. So, let's see. Really? Yeah, so we have 14 bases. And I'm actually... Yeah, it looks like they built a couple of new ones in the meantime while we were preparing. Probably the ones that we cleared out of our own planet decided to relocate here. Why am I under attack? Like, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Don't attack me. That's really dangerous. If any of these planetary bases decide to attack me, we're going to have a problem. Anyway, as you can see, we are generating a little bit of threat, but nothing too serious. So we should be able to just build a lot of stuff and kind of explore. There's a lot of these bases very close together, which is going to be actually a little annoying in terms of removing them. But we do have a pretty large open area here. So I think that's actually where we want to settle. Now, the question I have is, do we build several bases in different places in order to kind of spread everything out, make sure we don't have all the attacks zooming in one place? Or do we actually want that, so have everything close together and do it like that? Now, let's just see first if we just spread the bases out, how far we can take that. Okay, so I briefly reloaded just before we landed on the planet, just to make sure I had minimal threat and I wasn't getting attacked by anyone. That was a little bit of a waste of threat building. As you can see, we placed down 2 of these battle stations and I can just manually build them. Now, it's a little bit of a slow and tedious process. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because right now I'm not using any power. There's a tiny amount of power being consumed by Icarus, but as you can see, that's not really doing anything towards the threat. And just to make sure that my base is ready to go, all I need to do is power it up. As soon as you power anything up on this planet, you will see this threat increasing very, very rapidly on this difficulty. So basically, you're going to be attacked within like 30 seconds after you power up anything. So you better make sure that you're good to go. As you can see, I put all my missiles in the box. These are going to be spread out as soon as these belts are built. The belt analysis bases are up. Basically, when we can make sure all the turrets have ammo and are good to go, as soon as we power them up, they should be ready to start shooting. Now, they should be able to defend against here. We have this base that should be able to defend against this. Now, what I am actually going to do is I'm actually going to fly back to the other planet and restock, get back here and build some more of these. Now, coming back to the other planet, I just realized I actually have a lot of these combustible units, and they're a lot more efficient in terms of a power source than the graphite is. So, just as an FYI, if you're going to bring fuel, you might as well bring something that is more efficient, and it's actually also made from coal than the graphite that I was bringing before. Other than that, it's just basically a secondary load that's very similar to the first one, so we can make some more bases. Now, I currently have 4 of these bases spread out all over the place, and I'm guessing that's going to be a little bit of overkill, honestly. It's also going to add in another challenge that I didn't consider, because if for whatever reason I have to resupply any of this, it's going to be really annoying to have to move between all of these bases. But anyway, we have 4 of them now. Let's see what happens when we complete them. Alright, so I have all the bases constructed now, so all we need to do, hopefully, is dump some fuel in here. Then this should kind of power itself. As you can see, the threat is going to ramp up really quickly. Once you power up one of the first few stations, what happens is that these will transport it to the other stations, and that will make sure everything else gets fueled as well. And then, of course, the sorters are going to make sure that everything else is going to be fueled, because we're actually now powering the sorters. It will take a few seconds to actually start up, but all in all, I think that should work just fine. Now, let's make sure we power this one up as well. Hello, I want to put power in here. There we go. I am a little bit under attack here. Rockets, defend myself. There we go. And then all we need to do... Oh man, this is a lot of noise. And then all we need to do is fly on to the next one and have this powered up as well before a stray... There we go, we already had a couple of them incoming. Before some stray units decide to take this out as well. Okay, now first of all I'm going to have to turn down the sound a little bit. There we go, with all these rockets flying around, this is going to be a lot nicer in your ears. This actually looks pretty cool. I am not entirely convinced this is super efficient though. As you can see, I will actually have some units being taken out here as well. I have a feeling we are a lot better off if we just cluster everything together. We have a portion of this base taken out as well. Yeah, I'm not going to try and continue this. If you want to spread out your base like this, I think you should probably place them a little bit further away. And honestly, just the startup time that it took us to get from one base to the other to actually get them up and running, I think that's actually what's hurting us here. You can go in and repair this. That's probably not going to be an issue. Oh, look at how cool this looks. But yeah, bottom line, I think it's more efficient if we keep them close together and just have a single point of offense and defense. And look at that. I actually just reloaded to place the 4 bases closer together along where I put down the first one. Again, fired them up, and as you can see, we have a lot easier time defending right now than I had before, because basically all of this was up and running within like half a minute rather than maybe 1 minute, and that makes a difference. I actually made a little bit of headway against one of the smaller stations already, just placing down a couple of these to the closest energy station. This actually is giving us a lot of power as well, and as you can see, as soon as anything gets close to here, it gets annihilated. Now the real challenge is going to be to do the exact same thing with the closer bases, because honestly, there's a lot of units coming in from every angle. Now the basic idea what you want to do is just expand slowly with a couple of these. You want on the battlefield analysis base to go along with each missile, each signal tower, just to make sure it stays alive, because as you can see it takes a lot of damage. But look at that. That's buildings being taken out quite quickly. I might have placed this a little bit too close. It might actually have been in range of the turrets. But as you can see, this is actually going pretty well. Now the problem with this is that because we're expanding, some of the larger waves are actually going to come in and try and take out our signal towers. If you see that happening, if you see any larger waves coming in, what you want to do is kind of just delete whatever you have in terms of signal towers and just retreat temporarily, destroy the wave, and there we go. Like, for example, right now, that wave is very likely to destroy because we have another wave coming in from the other direction as well. You don't want to lose your signal towers too early on. You actually get a lot of resources from all these attacks, so you can rebuild your signal towers. As you can see, my inventory is filled up with random stuff. I can actually build quite a few battlefield analysis bases. As you can see, I can actually rebuild a lot of stuff just from the random items that you get in your inventory, and there's a lot more stuff in here as well. Remember, we're taking out hundreds of units at the moment. But yeah, this is actually going pretty well. Now, I don't want to make this look too easy, because it's definitely not. As you can see, there's larger waves coming in that might take out your signal tower. It's a little bit of a back and forth going on. As long as you don't get too many waves homing in on your units at the same time, you should be able to fairly easy keep your stuff alive. And then just make sure that you get your signal towers in range of some of the buildings. As soon as you start taking out pretty much any buildings in a base, that's a huge signal that you're on a good track. And as soon as all the waves are kind of dying down, because sometimes you get those non-stop waves, but as soon as you have no waves attacking your main base, then that leaves you all the time in the world to take out whatever you are currently attacking. So basically what you want to do is time your attacks in between the waves that you get that might be destroying your facility. But yeah, so far so good. We are about a quarter of the way through the enemy. We still have like 10 bases left, but geez, this is actually taking a lot more time than I thought it would. Okay, so fast forward a little bit. We're now about halfway through. It's actually going pretty well, so no complaints here. I am running a little bit low on fuel. So as you can see, not everything over here is fueled anymore, and that's going to be a problem because without fuel we don't have any power, and we might be lacking. And the reason that, for example, this base in the back is no longer fueled, we're actually not getting attacked here too much. This is kind of in the back, so that means that we are not getting fuel in here from the units itself. The fuel that was already in here has been used, And that means that basically some of these things are useless now. So the good thing is that thanks to the geothermals that we have placed down, we still are operating at a quite high efficiency, but I actually do want to go back and just make sure I bring some more ammunition, because as you can see, there are some gaps in the belt here as well. We might be running out of missiles, and we are using a lot of those. Okay, and I'm back on the planet. I took some more fuel with me. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff now floating around in our base, so that's really what we want to see. So let's start expanding some more, and it's basically the same thing over and over. As you can see, every now and then they do take out stuff. We have a lot of litter on the planet, thanks to the fact that I am actually destroying so many units that I think all my planetary bases are completely full. My battlefield analysis bases, that's what they're called, TDA. But all in all, this is not going all that bad. Make sure that we have some defense, and there you go. There's another base sort of being taken out. Every now and then you do have to take care of yourself. So, ooh, look, there's another wave coming in from the side as well. It's moments like that when you really need to watch out, because I have had a few situations where a lot of my, like this, my battlefield analysis bases were basically destroyed. It's probably due to the fact that I placed this again too close and it's in range of a turret. These things hurt a lot, so yeah, you generally speaking don't want to do that. But yeah, again, we have so many resources on this planet, actually rebuilding a couple of these signal towers and stuff is not really a problem. So yeah, basically rinse and repeat for another 7 times, and then we have the planet all to ourselves. As a side note, from the materials that you get, which includes titanium by the way, so we actually have something like a few thousand titanium in between all our battlefield analysis bases now, you can actually make titanium and hydrogen into something like a fuel cell, and it's super efficient if you want to actually power your Icarus, because you're actually using a lot of power flying back and forth, repairing units, building units, stuff like that. So just as a little pointer, as long as you're on a planet, don't feel like you can't build anything, because just make use of the materials that you have. You could actually, if you wanted to, make a little blueprint that has some of the crafting facilities to make things like signal towers and things like that. Maybe some ammunition, maybe some fuel, etc. Place them somewhere safe. So for example, like here in the middle of these defensive fortifications. And then just automate everything. And you can make a belt from your battlefield analysis bases if you would want, to just make a filter on them and get the stuff there. Just a thought. I don't think that's necessarily super optimal to do, but it might be fun if that's what you're into. Look at all that death and destruction. I have to say, this was definitely a challenge, because this is not necessarily easy. I know it looks easy if you look at it like this, but getting it right took a little bit of practice. But it's super satisfying, especially with these last few bases. Just taking them out and getting back control. It's kind of like, haha, who's the big guy in town now, huh? I know. Anyway, just one more to go, so let's make sure we take that out as well. Why can't I build a geothermal over here? Hello? Hello? Who's blocking me? Units remain. What units? I mean, I'm destroying everything that's anywhere near this. I don't know, it's probably some stray units somewhere on the map. But we will soon have no more units on the map, so we should be safe pretty soon. Let's see. Almost there, almost there, almost there. Look at all these rockets coming from all directions. Oh man, that is super satisfying. Am I low on power? Oh, actually, yeah, I am overdrawing power a little bit, despite all these geothermals. Can I place this one yet? Yeah, I can. Bye-bye. You can go now. My planet. There you go. And then all we need to do is take down these last few buildings, and then we should be good to go. Yes, 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 yes. No? No? Hello? There we go. I was about to say, there's nothing on this planet anymore. Look! Look, guys! No more 15 bases. There is 0 bases now. And again, we actually didn't get attacked by the hives. The highest one was on 75%. That's actually really surprising, considering I got like, what was it? 15, 20%? Just from the first 3 bases on my planet, and I took out 15 more. Anyway, yeah, so we have the entire planet to ourselves. We have quite a lot of rockets and defense over here. So if anything lands on this planet, we should be able to easily take it out. Actually still have quite a bit of fuel issues. That's why the whole offense was slowing down a little bit, because there's just not enough fuel. I'm really happy actually then in that case that we have these geothermals, because it seems like my rockets are running on geothermal energy. As you can see, my implosion cannons are partially out of ammo as well, so considering how much ammo I brought with me, that's sort of surprising. I'm actually going through like thousands and thousands of units of ammo just clearing out a single planet. But it's worth it, because now we do have a planet that actually has all the resources we need. We have both silicon and titanium in here. Well, let's actually check out the other planet, because I have a feeling... Let's double check our own planet first. There's still nothing on here. They don't dare land here. That's a good thing, because otherwise I would have to fly back. Where is Dominic? There it is. There it is. Yeah. As you can see, we had like, I think it was 4 bases before. There's like 7 now. So they have been relocating. And honestly, we probably need to take this planet as well at some point, because the majority of the silicon is here. But we do actually have silicon on our own planet that we currently captured as well. There's only going to be 1.5 million, so it's probably going to be 1 or 2 veins. It's actually 3 veins, I think. 2 over here and then 1 over here. So that's fine. Look at all these resources. There's a ton of resources here. A lot of titanium, which is our main concern. But honestly, if we fly back to our base over here, look at my lighting mod doing its work. We have completely filled up analysis bases. We have 153 litter as well, so that's even more resource. And as you can see, we have quite a bit of titanium, well, quite a bit of everything basically that we have currently unlocked, which is really convenient, because we actually don't need to worry too much about putting up ILSs here. For the moment, we can just grab whatever we need, go back to our other planet, build a couple of things, and then automate the production of things to go in between, and then we can really focus on actually starting up a serious production planet. But anyway, that's going to have to be for the next episode. Actually, what I want to do, and that we might want to consider doing either in the next episode or the one after that, is setting up a real fog farm. And what I mean by that is actually literally doing what we've done in the single planet thing, kind of like really farming the dark fog, but maybe just with a single base or something. And then just set up a filter system with some ILSs in order to automate that. Could be fun. Then again, just clearing them off the planet and just doing the normal production might be simpler. I don't know. Let's think about that. First things first, let's make sure we can actually take care of this planet. I hope you enjoyed all the death and destruction in this episode. There's probably going to be a little bit less of that in the next one once we start rebuilding and actually building a factory. We do at some point have to deal with these hives, but that's a long-term plan. For now, I hope you enjoyed this. If you're still here, you're awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.